Dear friends, all the directors, chapter chairman, juries, and all the GC members, I extend a very warm welcome to this presentation on case study evaluation by various juries in various chapters. So I request now our executive director, DKS, to start the program.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjiraji. So, evaluation of case studies in CCQC 2020. This is only especially made for CCQC 2020. Otherwise, 2021 will have a different criteria. Because this time we are going to have a national convention in the month of December. Whether this will be done in the month of December or not, what should be the situation, we don't know. So anyhow, this will be decided by the board in the month of September end. But the convention will be there. How this will be organized, there are three different ways. So we'll discuss at that time, seeing the situation, and then we'll communicate to everyone. And this theme is developing self-reliant India through quality concepts. Now for this CCQC, already this is communicated to everyone that this time each and every chapter they will ask their members who are from their chapter to send their case studies. Up to now, they are giving the case studies in 10 steps only. First and second step, they are not giving to CCQC, but this time they have to send all 12 steps. And this will be evaluated. Don't ask for the register, because sending the register through courier and again sending by you may create a problem, and there may be a loss of register also. So this time we are not going for this register. Additionally, any chapter is doing this quiz or something, okay, this is up to them. But this 100 marks evaluation will be there, and this particular recording will be sent to all the chapters, so that wherever you have any doubt, you can run it back and see. Even then, if you have any doubt, you can call myself, you can call Sanjeev Raoji for any clarification. So, this evaluation, when we are going for the evaluation, the judges, they have to do a little bit extra work this time, and that is the thing that whenever they are going through the case study, let them write down the organization, the category of the organization, whether power plant, cement plant, textile, school. We have sent the list already, and you can add some more. It's not that is the final. Last year we have tried to make it, but if you are feeling some more to be added, you can add it also. Then we will consolidate that one. Then team. Which type of team is quality circle, lean quality circle, quality improvement team, Six Sigma, TPM, WCM, Kaizen, 5S, and whatever the name they have given. Based on that, we can put the team this thing. And gains. Simply we have to mention the recurring gain or one-time gain, whatever. But gain should be per year. If this is a recurring gain, then simply put R against that. This will indicate it's a recurring gain. Any special remark, if you feel this particular case study in this particular area is very good or something, that special remark can send, you can mention over there, and this total list, a copy of that will be sent by all the chapters to headquarters. This CCQC circular that will be sent by the chapter, and we are also sending the message to the chapters as well as to the organizations, those organizations belonging to that chapter. In case there is no particular chapter over there, then we have to see mostly which chapter is helping to that organization. So simply we'll mention headquarter, but those who are helping over there will see through the record, and based on that will forward the case study to that particular chapter. So only chapter jurisdiction, and wherever there is no chapter, then those who are helping to that particular organization in that particular area, we will try to send the case studies, forward the case studies to them, because they will send to us and will forward it. Otherwise, we'll mention to the particular organization that these organizations belong to this particular chapter. They can send the cases to this particular chapter. So that list will be sent to all. All the chapter will see, and if there is any clarification or there some mistake, please inform us so that necessary action that can be taken. Try to finish, I will try to complete this CCQC as early as possible. Give a 15 days time. I know whenever you are given 15 days or 10 days time, as Sanjay Rauji mentioned, you will find that only few cases will come early, most of the cases will come at the end with some excuses after that also. But take care that when you are selecting the case study, you will send the format through which you are going to send to them that your cases have been selected for NCQC. Then there will be a sanction, and after sanction, management, they will allow them to book their tickets for the Coimbatore, and all these exercise, you know, that takes time. So it is better as early as possible we can do it. This time, already this was decided by the board that per case study, we are going to charge 5,000 rupees per case study, whatever. And this is for all, for all type of members, not the permanent or one time. For all the type members, 5,000 rupees, 5,000 per case study, including GST. But in case there are some MSMEs or number of cases are coming more, or chapter feels that they can provide some concession to them. Even for the students, normally we used to give 50% concession. All such concessions, this is up to the chapter, because only chapter case studies are coming to that particular chapter, area case studies are coming to that particular chapter. Because presentation, we are not giving any marks. For the register, this register, we are not giving any marks. So in the 70%, now we have put it to 60% and above for the gold, 50% to 60% silver, below 50% bronze. Gold and silver awarded teams, they are eligible for national convention. But suppose they have got bronze and they want to participate, then they can modify their case study and send it back to the chapter, and the chapter feels they have done necessary corrections, then and upgraded, then they may also be allowed. So this is about CCQC. Now coming to the evaluation criteria. See, there are 12 steps, but you know, AMEX system also, here we can see easily, because in case of first step, identification of problem, this is applicable for quality circles only. In case of identification of problem, unsolved problem, if they are up to 90, 1 mark, 20 to 29, 2 marks, 30 to 39, 3, 40 to 49, 4, and 50 and above, 5 marks. Here we have to see the unsolved. This is very, very important, because when they are solving 3 or 4 problems in a year, so during 1 year, if they are going for the brainstorming, they are also getting new problems to be added more than whatever they have solved. So number of problems should be unsolved, and that based on the count marks will be given. So one thing, list of the problem to be given by the circle, but problem mentioned should be unsolved problem, means total identified problems minus solved problems. If they have identified, suppose 70 problem, they have solved 10, so 60 are unsolved problem. But some of the, we have seen, you people have not seen, we have seen that many quantity circles, they simply note down so many problems were there. No, they have to send the list. And because in chapter, this point was not there in our headquarters, this in National Convention, they are sending the total list. And suppose they have not sent the list, and they are saying that we have 53 problems, they are not showing unsolved problem, and they are 7 years old, then we'll keep in mind that 7 years old means every year they are solving 4 problems, so 7 into 4 become 28. So if they have mentioned 53, so 53 minus 20 become 25, and based on 25 we are going to give the marks. So normally the chapter, after getting this, they can communicate to their members, then they will take care of for all these things. So problem should be listed, and once the problem is listed, then because we are going to send back them for the correction. So if this suppose they have identified the problem, and problem is due to this or because of this, due to this, because of this, all these things means you know the cause also. So in case of problem, due to or because of this should not be there. If that is there, just simply put the mark and ask them that this type of problem should, simply you write the problem, don't write because of this, everybody will be passed. Few quantity circle we have seen, just to complete the number, they try to note down the same problem in 2 different places. Suppose one problem is written serial number 7, frequent breakdown of crankshaft, and in 28 they are writing poor life of crankshaft. In 13 number they have written consumption of bearing is very high, and in the 48th number they may write how to improve bearing life. So here, because our 4 people, those who are evaluating 15 circle case studies in a day. So they used to go especially with the identified problems, and if they find this type of things are there, they just put a circle and you have repeated it, and they are giving only 1 mark. So many people, they know that in case of National Convention, they will get 1 mark. And many people, they ask why we have got 1 mark, we have identified 57, 51. And normally you find if this is just 50 plus 50 nearby, then there are more chances. If they are 60 or 70, then chances are hardly. So this will not be 1. You will find this type of problem, repeating problem in different names. You will find 6 or 7 places. Means this is done intentionally. So this you have to take care, and if they have done this, then you have to put mark. They should not feel that they have made fool to the judges. Now coming to the second part, selection of problem. There are 3 parts. If they have done A, B, C analysis, that you know, you have to give 1 mark. If they have used priority or ranking method, in case of quantity circle, they have used priority or ranking method, 8 2 more marks. And if they have used the priority ranking method along with the base, I'll show you the example. See here, selection of problem. Normally you will find many of the circle clearly mentioning A oblique K. A oblique K means they know the problem, they know the solution also. So in such cases, A oblique K, they can define, they can tell how much problem is there, means third and fourth step, then directly they can go to foreseeing probable resistance. And for such problems, normally you will get it in the new circles, for such problems will be treated as one quality circle. But normally we have not seen people are sending this type of problem in our LCQC. For the criteria, normally when this is decided by the members, generally they may be easy. See, first I will show you, then this will be more clear. See here, this is the priority list. Problem number 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever problem they have decided, 1, 2, 3. In this particular 1, 2, 3, they have given priority list. Priority list, the minimum total become number 1. So if they have identified and put ABC, 1 marks. If they have made the priority list, put 2 marks. But suppose first they have gone for this base. What is the criteria? And in case of really quality circle, they have decided the criteria. Criteria will belong to their work, means wastage, outage, safety, easy work, less time, better environment. But when facilitator or management is just asking them to write it down, they will put quality, productivity, cost reduction. Quality circle is for their work, for their simplification of work. Because this is a learning part for them, for the development for them. It's not a problem solving group. That's why we have to see the criteria. If the criteria means normally the grassroots people take like this way, we can give 2 more marks. So 2 marks for the criteria, 2 marks for making a priority. So the criteria, normally what they say, they give an example for one person among the members, for one person, that this is the weightage and these are the problems, and the person is given this marks because this is the marks. So highest marks, first priority. Then this is only for Mr. C.B. Prasad. After that, C.B. Prasad, whatever the criteria written here by this person, and then done. Mind it. Leaders' marks will not be included in this. If they have included the leader's marks, means process is not correct. Leader marks, facilitator is not allowed for this. Yes, if there are tie-up, then leader will give their marks, and based on that to be done. So this is about the criteria. Now coming to the problem solving steps. Define the problem. In fact, milestone chart is the part of the second step. Once they have selected the problem, they have to make a milestone chart and submit it to the coordinator. Coordinator should approve. But here in the selection we have not put, here we have put milestone chart, 1 mark, because once this is approved, then the leader is showing to all the members that this is our milestone chart. So this is starting with the define. So milestone chart will start with the define the problem, not from number 1 and 2. That is number 1 and 2 is milestone chart, they have not made properly. So 1 mark for the flow diagram. Sorry, milestone chart. For flow diagram, they have to show their process, and this process they can show with the pictorial also. They can show with the help of high level flow diagram also. Sometimes they use matrix flow diagram also. So this is about their process, and they are marking here we are working, here we are facing the problem. Now description of the problem. This description of problem, they can show it with the help of detailed flow diagram. They can show it with labeled flow diagram, pictorial. They will explain, and this is having 5 marks. I've seen people are doing very well over here because this is real the problem. They know objectives, what they want, and goal and target, how much they want. Goal and target, because they have identified this as a problem, means they are having something. This should be here. So what is the gap? So goal or target that to be mentioned over here. So objectives normally they used to be 4, goals and target 1, and based on that we can give the marks. See here, define the problem will start. If you see the DMAX system, which is applicable for the small group activities all over, means lean quality circle, even the 5S, even some titles they are doing. So DMAX system starts here also, and DMAX system for the higher management also, for the Six Sigma, TPM, quality improvement team. So for this lower group, means for the grassroots people, here they will make a milestone chart for 5 steps. TMAIC 1 mark, problem description 3 marks, sorry, pictorial flow diagram 3 marks, problem description 6 marks, objectives 2 marks, and goal and target 3 marks. So here this is 15 marks. This is for all allied concept. This is 15 marks. Now come to analysis of the problem. Mind it, analysis of the problem means measure the problem. But many people are very much confused. I don't know. We are seeing for last about 8 to 10 years, people have got the shortcut. What they do, because 4W1H out of 5W1H, 4W1H to be used. So what they say, what is the problem? See, in the define the problem, already they mentioned what is the problem. Again, the writing, this is the problem. Where is the problem? Already in define the problem, you have mentioned define the problem. Where is the problem? Again, the writing, where is the problem? Then this will be solved. 12 weeks. Already you have mentioned your milestone chart. Then who will solve it? Party circle member will solve it. And you have taken already. And how this will be solved? By applying tools and technique. So this type, I don't know from where they have got, but nowadays about 60% people simply because they feel this is good. And if you see this, simply give 0 mark. See, this is the type when we are giving less mark, they will try to correct that one. You can listen. Wherever there is there are shortcomings, please correct it if required. That chapter people can conduct the program for them so that they can make the correction, and in the national convention when they are sending, this type of mistake will not be there. I think through this Zoom, through this webinar, this type of thing could be done in much better way. So actually, whenever they are taking the problem, when problem is there, they are solving the problem. Ultimately, process will not stop. For typing, that is stopped. For how many times? How many times this happens? When problem is stopped, when this problem comes, machine stops or process stop. How many man hours are required? Material required? Time required? What are the effect to next process, to the previous process? All these data are required. That's why what we have to do is, impact of the performance parameter like quality, productivity, cost, etc. Stratification of data. If required, we can make a Pareto also. We can show the data through graph also. But this is mostly database. Yeah, certainly some verbal data may also be there. Whatever problem you people are facing, it may be verbal data. So analysis of the problem is what measure the problem is what are the problem they have faced, that they are facing when this problem occurs, that to be mentioned over here. And this is 10 marks in case of quality circle, and for the allied this is 20 marks. Now coming to this A oblique K, already we have mentioned about this milestone chart, that sometimes people use Gantt chart also. There is no both are the activity chart. Only thing is that here in case of Gantt chart, starting suppose upper you have written so 4 by 4, if you write it here or not 4 by 4, 10 by 4. Somebody feels if this is a increasing means milestone chart, otherwise this type Gantt no. By chance, because in 12 steps they are putting 10 steps here and all the steps come after one by one. That's why they are seeing that is an increasing order. But it's not that. That's why this is actually both are activity chart. So in case of Gantt chart, if they have made the Gantt chart, then comparison will also be in the Gantt chart. That's why in quality circle we never say to make a Gantt chart. Yes, Gantt chart they can make when they are going for trial implementation. Management when they are going for regular implementation can make a Gantt chart. So quality circle member can also use the Gantt chart. But we have to see whether they have used the milestone or Gantt chart, that to be used in a proper way. So define the problem, analysis of the problem, and in case of analysis problem, all these require the data to show the performance gap. Already told you, for any problem the question will be that where are the problems, kahan problem hai. When this problem occurs, data required, who are affected, their department, previous department, next department. How we are rectifying that, and what are the losses, manpower, material, time, money, and how much losses are there. Time required to solve the problem, material required, manpower required, etc. This required data may be presented through graph, and Pareto diagram is required, they can make the Pareto diagram also. Coming to the fifth step, find out probable causes and root causes. See, at the initial stage, people used to make a cause and effect diagram. They see a big cause. Again, particular that cause, they go for YY analysis. What we have seen at the initial stage for 10 years, because they had taken only one cause, they validated one cause, they have gone for YY analysis. And they find a root cause and they solve it. Once they solve it, and management has recognized them, they sent them to chapter convention, they sent to the national convention, even the circular was sent to the international convention, and when they came back, people are laughing on them. See, again the same problem came. And why this happened? Because we have only analyzed that particular cause at that time, not all. What we have to do when we are making a cause and effect diagram, at the initial stage, is first 2 years, they can use dispersion analysis, means they can decide the header, then causes, then sub-causes, sub-sub-causes, but everywhere sub-causes, sub-causes, sub-sub-causes, and the last one is the probable root cause. But once the circle is more than 2 years old, let them use dispersion. Don't use dispersion, but cause enumeration method or production process classification method. What happened? In case of dispersion analysis, because header are fixed. So whatever leader want, they are saying, and people are giving reply for that. But in case of cause enumeration method, we are getting lot of causes. This may be some sub causes also. So total listing to be done, then causes, sub causes to be set right. Then we have to decide the header depending upon the affinity. And put this in a big paper. Write it, don't put the slip, write it. And once you have written, the best thing is that this to be displayed for a week to that particular area so that other people can also write whatever they feel this may be a cause. They may write any place in the sheet. Then that sheet to be taken and that could also be put in an appropriate place. Even then, further you see if there is any subcause of this. So what will happen here, whatever the causes are, the probable causes are there, you have gone for subcauses, subcauses means you have done YY analysis, not only for one, you have done YY analysis for all the possible mistakes. And the result is that you may get 15 to 20 probable root causes, 15 to 20 probable root causes. Once you got it, make a list. Now go for validation. How this will help? During validation, this particular time, there may be 3-4 causes, maybe one cause affecting to the problem. But the same problem if occurs second time, you need not to go for again cause and effect diagram. Simply see this list, validate this list, because it's not only one or two causes for which you have done YY, you have done the 5, 6, 7, whatever the major causes are there, sub causes you have made it. So now you are having a perfect list. So every time, whenever you are facing the problem, this is the easiest way. And we have seen the result. Excellent result we have seen. I'll show you. Suppose here you have put the problem and this you have made whatever the headers are there. Then at the end, just you put around. Because every year this is why, because this, why, because of, why, because of, why, because of this. Here why, because of, why, because of, why, because of, why, because. So in each and every case, here you have not got it, okay, no problem. Here you have got 1, here you have got 3, here you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now you have got 22 different probable root causes. To know what happened, when you have done, suppose this is, you have taken it, go for YY, something goes wrong in this, you have corrected. But what about others? Here you have made causes, sub causes for each and every one, wherever, whatever is the possible. It's not that everywhere this will go to up to 5. Then you have made a list, and this list should be displayed in that particular department. Whenever the same problem comes, the supervisor may go for the validation. Suppose during validation they found this particular time serial number 3, 7, 8, 17 and 22 they are affecting. Next time it may be that only 12 and 13 are affecting. Third time maybe only 9 affecting. Fourth time it may be serial number 1 and 20 affecting. But all are affecting to the same problem. And every time we have to go for cause and effect diagram is not possible. The best thing is, can we make all these things? That's why we are insisting, don't make YY after that. It is better, make a little bit more effort so that we can get this type of list, and this is going to help us in future also. Otherwise, whenever the quality circle people feel very bad when people started laughing, hey, you have solved the problem, taken the prize from management, and what is, see here. And this demotivate, I've seen many of the quality circle, they are demotivated through this, and stop working. Now, once you have found, suppose only one cause is there. Okay, we have to find out the solution for this. If two are there, again we have to think which one is bigger, which to be solved first. But if there are so many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we are going to solve first? Here many people they take the data from the fourth step. No, here we have to find out the data for this particular, how many times this occurs. This one, this one, this one, and this one. That there may be past data. You take the past data. If you are not having past data and you collect the fresh data, collect the fresh data. If still neither you have past data nor you can collect the fresh data, then ultimately we have to take the opinion of the people. So we can prepare a questionnaire, give to the concerned people only, and take the opinion of the people. And based on that, we can decide the plan. Opinion of the people is not a very good, but something is better than nothing. So once you have made this, collected this data, then we can go for the Pareto diagram. If the numbers are low, and why I am making the Pareto diagram? When data is there, and once we are calculating this decrease, if we are putting into decreasing order and calculating the percentage, accumulate to percentage, easily we can see that this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3. Why we are doing this? This is again a validation of data. Whether we have segregated it properly or not, whether we have collected data properly or not. For example, some choking occurs. Normally, this problem occurs in month of June, July, August at the time of raining. So, at the time of rains, you have taken collected data, and in the month of January, February, March, you are saying the problem is over. No, some data is required for the whole year. Oh, what is the sampling of the data? All such things are very important. Pareto diagram help us to identify vital few useful many, but this can be seen from the table itself. It's a pictorial presentation. So all these things, why we are making, simply we can put into decreasing order. This is mainly helping us. If this goes curve like this way, there is a sharp turn. It's not sort of from the 80%. This may be 78, this may be 72, this may be 86. It's not that 80%. And if they have made the Pareto diagram, we can give the mark. If Pareto diagram is not required, don't deduct the marks. But if Pareto diagram required, there are 4, 5, 6, and data they have collected, not made the Pareto diagram, they can deduct the marks. Once we have decided, okay, we have to go for first E, then B, then D. It's not that we'll consider only for 3. We have to consider all these, but in a in this sequence. So we are correctly developing the solution. So in case of development of the solution, see, in case of quality circle, development of solution, 4C probability, trial implementation and regular implementation. Different marks are given. But till regular implementation, in case of allied concept, total 30 marks. Because in this case, development of solution, forcing probability, all will come on the way. But we are not giving the marks in that. We are giving the marks for the trial as well for the regular implementation. So development of solution, let them do brainstorming. But many places you will find, in case of development of solution, they are also mentioning, we have tried it and found this is not correct, so we change it. This is not correct. Development of solution means through brainstorming whatever ideas you have developed, You can contradict thereby after discussion. And whatever the solution you have developed, whenever we are going for trial, foreseeing probable resistance they have to see. Because in few of the cases I have seen, in case of development of solution, they have made this, they have done PDCA. Here you are not doing PDCA. Here simply you are developing the solution through brainstorming and discussing. First you are developing a solution, making a list. Then you are discussing whether it is possible or not possible. Where there is a controversy, we'll put them as a trial. Wherever everybody is convinced, that too also will put into trial. When we are going for trial, foreseeing probable resistance, they must learn this. So this will be recorded in their mind that foreseeing probable resistance is must. Means they have to see when we are going to implement all these things one by one. If you see, we can normally will find development of solution minimum 5 I have seen. Nobody is putting less than 5. So 5 things you are going to implement. For each one, if you discuss, you will get some resistance may come. Sometimes if you are going to put this, there may be a chances of reduction of the manpower. So resistance may come. Sometimes this may increase the work because you have to take the reading, all the resistance may come. So what type of resistance will come, and if that will come, what action to be taken? We have to ready for that. So here is a 5 marks for 5 point, but this we have never asked in case of allied concept to write, because this they have to go through. They have to think for all these things, but a development of solution and foreseeing probable resistance, we are not asking them to put it here. If they are putting it also, we are not giving any marks. Marks will be given for the trial implementation and check performance. See here, trial implementation and check performance, there are 2 parts. Initially, we are putting 10 marks, but last time many people they have requested, sir, this should be 15 marks. Sanjay Raji also accepted this. We have changed it because a lot of work to be done over here. In case of development of solution, there were 15 marks. So this was reduced this time to 10. Here this becomes the 15 marks. What to be done? Use of PTC. Real use of PTC plan to take plan. Which machinery or which processor, which part you are going to take. Who will take? Do. When we are going to do it, what material required, what permissions required, who will take the permission, who will get it to the material, who will fit it. And suppose something goes wrong, then who are to take care, even in case of night and late night shift. Suppose some malfunction is there, whom they have to inform, what to be done, how to be done, and something goes on to that particular what action to be taken. Then somebody to check. So they have to make a checklist, they have to make a data sheet. What are the checkpoints that to be checked? And action. If there is something wrong, what action to be taken? If nothing wrong, then what to be done? So this trial implementation, the total process, here we have made a plan, 5 marks, here we are doing it. And once we are doing it here, sometimes we are facing problem, then and there we can apply YY analysis over here, no problem here. Apply YY analysis, why this happened, and you can come to the conclusion. But trial implementation, once this trial implementation is completed, then you have to see what gain you have got. So check the performance. So for making the plan, for doing the trial, and for the performance, 5 marks. Same thing for the allied. This is 15 marks. This is 5. Same thing. Now, once this trial is done, team is convinced They will prepare a report, but when they are checking the performance during that time, they can take the next problem also, because here the performance only data they are collecting, so they should continue. But anyhow, this is not coming over here. Now coming to the regular implementation. Once this is implemented, check the performance. This trial implementation, check the performance, and they have presented this case study to the management, and management has given the approval. Now this is the responsibility of the management to implement it. If any one of them are the part of this implementation, they may be. Now the question is, what to be written in regular implementation? And many times people are getting a bit confused. They are giving some same data in both the places. See, in case of trial, suppose you have started trial on 7th February to April 19. So whatever performance you have seen, whatever data you have collected during your trial, that you have shown it to the management. But in case of regular implementation, what is the status now? Now means when you are sending your case study through NCQC, up to that or 10 days before that, what is the situation? What is the position? It is till October. What is the position? Until September. What is the position? If you have made a milestone or Gantt chart, how you are going to implement, suppose you are having similar type of equipment 10, and you have planned that every month one equipment will be taken. So during that period, 3 months over means 3 equipment to be taken. How much you have taken? And what is the performance now? Even suppose there is only one equipment, only one, and you have already implemented over there. So at the time of performance, we have seen the result, but here we have to show the result to that time. What will happen? Whatever your result you have seen at the time of performance, it may remain same, but chances are very, very less. It may be better also, because previously people were not expert, now they are used to. This may be less also, because at the time of case of regular implementation, the difference between step number 10 and 11 is, in case of trial implementation, in a particular period where you have done the trial, whatever performance you have observed, that to be mentioned over there. But in case of regular implementation, when you are sending our case study to us 10 days or 15 days before, what is the situation? In trial implementation, you have implemented 1 or 2 equipments. Now you have implemented 30 equipments. So what is the position? Suppose you have only one equipment from where you have trial, and you are having only one equipment. Even then, at the time of trial, whatever performance you have seen, but when you are sending your case study, what is the status now? Because this status may be same. Normally, this never happens. This may be better. Yes, this may happen because previously people were not used to, now they are used to. This may be a little bit poor also, because at the time of trial implementation, everybody is taking care, but now this become a normal routine. So this may be same also, chances are very less. This will be better also, this may be down also. So in both all 3 cases, so in case of regular implementation, you have to show the present status, and along with that you have to show tangible and intangible gains. Please mind it, tangible gains, whatever you have, but intangible gains that also be shown. Many people you will find they are getting this signed by their finance people, all these things, but we have never asked why. Because if this is that, people used to go and get it signed. That is, let them write, because we believe it that the company are sending the circle, it means they have got the gains. But in case of quality circle, we are very much interested that what benefit they have got. And that's why here you have to check when you are writing the gains, you must check that in objective what they have written. They have written in the objective and goal that what they want. Whatever objective they have written, whether that is fulfilled or not. Whatever the goal they have written, how will they achieve to that goal, that to be checked over here. That is very, very important. And based on your own thinking and seeing how much accordingly you can give the marks. Now coming to the follow-up. Follow-up system to be developed. Here, in this case, many people use run chart, maybe control chart, maybe histogram, maybe scatter diagram, whatever. Even many times in case of follow-up, they are comparing the Pareto diagram also before and after. So whatever is necessary, that to be mentioned over here. And based on that, what is the review of the result? Yeah, we have to see the review also. The same thing is applicable in case of allied concept here also. So like this way, for all the 12 steps, for the QC, write it again. QC is not a problem solving group. This is for the development of the people. They are taking the problem to learn and apply the tools and technique in the proper way. And that's why 12 steps are mentioned. But in case of allied, this is a problem solving group. Here management can give the problem. They can take the problem by themselves. They can take the problem from the problem bank. And that's why if you see that at the initial stage, I think I've forgotten to mention that in case of selection of this selection problem by any appropriate method, in case of allied concept, there are so many methods. By any appropriate method, they can mention. But they should not do any bogus. That's why we mention if the problem is given by the management, they can instant problem. Because here they can take the instant problem also. Taken problem from the bank, problem bank, that to be mentioned that from where they have taken the problem. Sometimes they take the 3-4 problems and apply Pareto priority index. They can apply different methods. Suppose they have taken the problem of safety or quality or productivity, and they have different category and they have collected the data. They can apply the Pareto diagram also. So they can mention over here how they have taken this problem. If they have taken the problem given by the management, so they have to write why management has given the problem to them, why they have taken this instant problem, why problem taken from problem. You have taken problem from the problem bank, but why you have taken? Let them mention 2 marks for the mentioning that who has given this problem, how they have taken, and 3 marks for the reason for that. So that is important over here. We don't want that they should again write something and do the bogus. Let them write honestly how they have got it, and that's why we have not mentioned that they are using this method only with they will get the marks. But suppose they have done it, let them put it. 5 marks are there. So like this way, they have learned about all the 12 steps, and at the end, Pareto diagram. In case of here see, in case of the action plan, how they have to make, what are the activities, what are the responsibility, date start, due date, then they can make a Gantt chart also if so like. So this we have already seen, and we can make a comparative chart at the end, and that is also 1 mark. Now coming to the 5S workplace management, in case of 5S there are 2 type of problems. One is they have taken the problem being faced in step number 1, 2, and 3. Cleaning problem, problem of identification, or prestige or whatever. And they have solved that one. That will go as a allied concept and the same thing will be applied. But suppose they have taken in their particular department the 5S implementation. 5S is implemented in the total plan. But some particular zones are doing very well. And management want to recognize them. That's what they're sending them. So if they're sending them and they're going to show it how they have implemented their zone. So what they have to do, the first thing is initial efforts. What they have made, 5S organization structure, what is that? What is the initial photograph? Step taken in zone, sub-zone before going for 1S. Before going for 1S, they have to form subgroups. They have to make the council members. Council member will take the initial photograph. Council member will note down the common area and no man's land. This will be distributed among all the employees of that particular subzone. Then council member will take care that each and everyone prepare a micro checklist, including the hidden area checklist of their own area as well as given area. Then every 2 months this will be transferred. So all these steps they have taken before 1S or not. Then what they have done in 1S, what they have done in second is, third is a combination of 1S and 2S. So in case of third is, they have to make theory set on when they have done, they have to make a SESO checklist. Means when they are cleaning, what should be the frequency? How they are going to use it? Because in future they have to reduce the frequency. They have to increase the cleaning back without affecting the result and they are taking the problem. So all these things, the second, third implementation, fourth S. Ultimately 1S, 2S, 3S we know is the housekeeping. Whatever problem they are facing of 1S, and 2S and 3S, how they have developed the standard practices and follow the standard practices, what system they have made, system for that. So implementation 4th and this is actually for 5th. 4th and 5th, I forgot, I will put it here. 4th and 5th. So 5 marks. Then audit system, self audit, how they have done, management audit, they have to show how they are doing it. In case of self audit, they have to show the rough audit sheet. In the rough audit sheet, each and every marks, if this is less than 5, remarks should be given. If more 5 out of 5 are there, means they are just not taking care. The status of 5 is implemented because if they have put 5 out of 5, then subzone leader is supposed to go and find out and put the remark. By the same way for the management audit, the very important part is that the coordinator should go along with the management audit and coordinator should note down the comments for all 22 points. Then status of 5S implementation, before after photograph, tangible and intangible gains, status of Jagriti group, status of 5S, that to also be shown. Then follow-up and review system, management action for the sustenance and growth of 5S, whether they are conducting 3 minutes presentation by each zone or not, they are going for march pass, going for a reward system, sending to the competition, creating competition, all these things, and special activity if they have done something special. So like this way, for the 5S, 100 marks are there. Now evaluation of Six Sigma. Now this will be explained by our Sanjeev Rao ji. Then evaluation of the safety criteria. If the item is from the quality circle, suppose, so sorry, the team. If the team is from the quality circle and they have taken the quality circle problem, that be evaluated based on 12 steps. If the problem is taken by the quality circles, they will follow 12 steps. But if this is taken by the lean safety circle, like lean quality circle, if this is taken by the lean safety circle, maybe given by the management, they have taken instant problem, they have taken from the problem bank, and just like a lean quality circle, if they have solved it, they will apply DMAX system and whatever the marks we have mentioned in our allied concepts, that to be followed. In case of HR, we feel if HR case studies are there, you please either forward to me, we means headquarter, so that we can depute some HR people for their evaluation up to now, because last year only we have started this HR case studies, and HR case studies of different field. So it is better, let them send whatever they have done in whatever way they have done, and we will depute a particular person so that variation will not be there. And certainly next year onward, we will prepare the criteria for that also. So like this way, almost we have covered most of the things. Now over to Sanjeev Rao ji. First, Sanjeev Rao ji, if there is any point left, we will describe that one, and then we will go for this evaluation of Six Sigma, TQM, management team or team management team case study. Mass already this is mentioned over here, and what to be there, that Sanjeev Rao ji is going to explain. Yes, Sanjeev Rao ji.
Thank you, Srivatsaji, for a very detailed way explained step by step. I hope I don't think any thing to be clarified. However, I thought I would like to give some salient points before I really explain about the how we are going to evaluate the Six Sigma and TPM and other QIT related projects. So the main thing what I suggest is to all the once, as we promised, and we are going to send this recorded portion before 25th of this month. So once you receive it, and then once you finalize all the judges, it is better to share this presentation to all the judges so that they can also go through it, and then they can prepare themselves, so that when they are going to evaluate, it becomes much easy for them. And also because they will have some time, if something is not clear, there are some doubts, they can always refer to headquarters, then we will be in a position to clear all the doubts, so that you will well prepared, so that you will be in a position to evaluate very clearly, and also correctly you are going to evaluate it. So this is what I would like to give my introductory remarks. And then because of this corona only we are doing this, but whatever Srivatsaji explained, all that is very valid even for the future also, except this course. What are the marks we have given now for step by step? They are valid only for this year, that is 2020. And then later on, of course, next year again, we may review it and then we may change it. But whatever the explanation has been given, that way you can definitely make use of these, whatever the presentation you are going to receive it. Then in his presentation he covered, first thing is, we are going to, once you send your brochure, all the chapters are expected, make their brochures, and then consider how much time you need for receiving the case studies, and also how much time based on the number of judges you have, and how much time you take for evaluation. Based on that, you please provide all these details in your brochure and send to all the units in under your area only. So that is one thing, please remember. So you are going to send your brochure only for the units under your control. That is one part of it. Then you are requesting all the PPTs with a greater detail. So you please mention in the brochure, so that what happens is when they are sending the PPTs, and they will try to give as many details as possible. Based on that, and the judges will be in a position to evaluate without any difficulty, and also they will get whatever the marks due to them. and they will be in a position to get that. And then the evaluation is going to be only by the single judge. Please remember that it is not by two judges. Then the once you evaluate it as per the criteria what you are going to get now, and then wherever you are giving the less scores, you should be in a position to give the causes or the reasons for that, and you can send to along with those reasons, and also whatever the award they are going to get, like a gold or a silver or the bronze, like that. So that's why you need to, while evaluating it, please remember wherever you are giving the marks less than whatever is mentioned maximum, and try to give the reasons for that. What was the reason why you have reduced marks by that much numbers? That is one thing, please make it very clear. And then we also mentioned about maybe 15 cases, case studies you can give to each judge per day, and then that many days they can take it depending upon the how many case studies you are going to get it. And then headquarters side, we are going to send you one consolidated abstract evaluation sheet, in which, like a para 4, Srivatswaji explained very clearly. And then there, you need to write about what is the category it comes to that particular project, and also team details, and also what are the gains, you see, and then whether recurring gains or only the one-time gain, that also you need to mention. And you also say whether it is QCC project or LQC project or QIT project or Six Sigma, like that, or EPM. So those details you need to furnish, so it will be good for even headquarters use as well as for the concerned chapter use also. So after that, when you are sending to the units, you are sending the certificate along with the marks. And wherever they got, let us say, the bronze, because that means we already defined now, 60% and above, they will get gold. If it is between 50 and 59, they will be awarded silver. If it is below 50, they will be getting the bronze. So Srivastava explained very clearly. Now those case studies where you are awarded only the bronze, suppose the particular, let us say, the team or the organization, they would like to improve it upon so that they become eligible for participating in the NCQC. And suppose they write to the concerned chapter, and then you please allow that, and they, based on the feedback what you have given, they will be in a position to improve it, and then they will send back to you, and then perhaps you may use the same judge or some other judge, and then evaluate it, and re-evaluation marks, other things you please send. That is how you can help them also. And then after that, of course, the evaluation criteria, again, Srivastava explained very clearly. The main point when identification of the problems when you are going to give score, please look at 2 points. One is, what were mentioned very clearly is unsolved problems. Suppose they give the list of problems and they say what are the problems they have already solved. The remaining things only you are going to evaluate. The other thing what you need to see, now there may be sometimes duplication or triplication. The same problem they may repeat in different words. Please go through that and then see whether no duplication is there, and accordingly you can award the marks. So these are the 2 things which I would like to mention under that. Next one is about the selection of the problem. In the selection of the problem, of course, generally quality circle people, first they will look at it, and the problem whatever they select, they want to select, how it is having impact on their own way of working. That means work environment or safety, or let us say some wastages or certain breakdowns. These type of things they may take, so to improve their work environment. So there they may say, again, each member will give the awards. Please remember one thing, if they are going by the ranking and lower the number, that means it is more prioritized. That means suppose they give 1, that is highly prioritized, and that is the most important project which they would like to take. Suppose they give 10, that is the least, when they are going by the rank method. Suppose they are giving the scores, let us say, that means the maximum score or maximum marks, they decide about 10. That means if they give higher marks, that means it is high priority. If they give lower marks, it is low priority. So this one distinction, please remember that. So after that, then define the problem. This is a lot of confusion with most of the judges also, because here when we are saying that define the problem, now it should be very clear what is the gap. That gap, we have to find out. The another thing is the gap when we are going to give, and what is going to be the effect, the result part of it, the outcome part of it, that they are able to clearly define it, and they should not give any cause for that. Some people, what they do, they attach the cost to the effect of the problem. They should not give that. Because of this problem is there. That type of clause they should not give it. So that you please take care of that when they are given. Then analysis of the problem when it comes. Now here we need lot of data. That is in the sense how you are justifying that problem. So, and also we are analyzing the result part of it, outcome part of that problem. Because of that problem, what is actually getting affected? Like, is it affect on the productivity or on the quality part of it, or the variation in the, let us say, in the output quality as well as even the production. So whether many breakdowns it is resulting in it, or too much of rework is there, or all these things are, the costs are going up. So you need to analyze very detailed way, and then you also given very clearly a stratification also you need to think of, so that this particular step number 4, analysis of the problem, will help them to identify the causes when they are going to the next step. That is why this 4th step is very, very important, and how well they are able to analyze the result part of it, that is outcome part of it. So that is one, please remember. Then when it comes to the causes, of course, all of us are aware, and basic objective of this cause analysis is actually to establish a relation between the causes and also whatever the problem they have, what we call it as an effect. And then they need to validate them. See, through brainstorming, they get lot of causes, okay, and something may be true, something may not be true. So how well they are able to analyze and validate those causes. Ultimately, they got the causes for which they will go using the YY analysis, find the root causes. And then the justification of these root causes also, they need to collect the data, and Srivastava explained really clearly, either a Pareto chart or other graphical form stratification, they do that. So with the help of, or even histogram sometimes. So look at all that, and based on that, you will be in a position to judge how well they were able to do the analysis of the causes, all that. Then you go for the root cause analysis over, then naturally countermeasure. There it is, as all of you are aware, it is really creative thinking, and how well they are able to bring a lot of creative ideas, alternative solutions, and how well they are, let us say, validating each solution based on what criteria, and then whatever convinced them, where they have come to a consensus, and they have gone for the trial, let us say. So all these trials, how well they have done it, and there should be enough document proving that whatever the improvement they have made in the processes, and that has resulted into the improvised performance. And so that type of documentation, how well they have prepared, you need to go for that. And then they finalize all the improvements, and then they go for the regular implementation of that. So then what type of process control, what type of control charts, how they are going to sustain, this type of things, subsequent steps you need to see, and how well they have established the follow-up, and so that the problem will not get repeated, and there are enough the process control they have established, and then also they have, let us say, if any change is there, any drop is there, immediately they have countermeasures. That type of things also they have made, and maybe some FMEA if they have done it. So this type of things, please look into it, and then they go, you evaluate it, and based on that you analyze it, and you give the suitable marks. And then reasons, as I explained already, please wherever step you have given actually less marks, and reasons for that you identify it, then you communicate to the units. So this is just explained it, and I think you can go to that, and then as I told you, any doubts further are there, you can always refer headquarters, and we will be in a position to help all the chapters. Now coming to the Six Sigma. The Six Sigma, as all of you are aware, now is a 5-step process. Okay. Now we talk about the define, we talk about the measure, we talk about the analysis and improvement, and then we are going for the control to sustain the results. But first thing is, you please look at it when the project case study is under the Six Sigma. Now this project, what they have taken, is it complex enough? And then the business case, you need to look at it. So how well it is a part of the business, and how it is affecting the business, or even customer satisfaction, maybe market share, and maybe very, very high rejections, or the costs are going up, or so much of inconsistency is there in the quality of the product what they have been making. So please look at it very, very clearly. And then if this project is it justified bringing under Six Sigma? That is one thing you please look at it based on the what are the inputs you get it in the case study. So that is why the first step when we go for the define step, and the objective of this step is actually to see a business case, how well this is fitting into the concerned business. And also you need to look at what are the opportunities for improvements, and by solving this project, what impact, any breakthrough improvement they are going to get it, and how they, let us say, the bottom line is going to improve it. So this is what you need to evaluate it. For that, the enough inputs you may get to the project chapter. So project trust is one thing where they mention about the problem statement and what are the financial gains or losses, and then if suppose once you solve it, what are the finance gains going to be, and also they need to define that in terms of Six Sigma levels, what level they have, and from that level, what level goal they want to improve it, and also they give any scope and constraints are there while doing this project, and they also mention about the team, who are the members and who is a facilitator, things like that, and also they give the schedule for each step. They are defined from when to when, like that they will give for each of the 5 steps, they will give this. So this is what the project charter, and you please go through it very clearly and look for the enough evidences so that you will be in a position to give the appropriate scores, which of course I am going to mention a little later. Then apart from that, they will also make process mapping. That is process mapping right from the raw material charging up to the end and then dispatch to the customers. And what are all the sub processes? And those sub processes they map it. But some people they may give this, or some people they may go for SIPO. SIPO, that is where supplier and then input what they are getting, and then what is the process, what is the output, and what is the who is the customer. The customers can be internal customers also. And this step is very, very important because they will also mention wherever the constraints, wherever the problems are there, that they will be mentioning that. That's why this is very, very important table, and which you look for it. And then some people, what they do, along with SIPO diagram, they will also add CPQ, critical to quality. That means whatever at each step, whatever the output they are getting, in that output, process related as well as output related, what are the critical quality? That means what are key parameters which we need to look at it, and which is going to affect subsequent processes or subsequent product. Similarly, finished product, suppose it goes to the customer, and how the customer end is going to getting affected, is function because of some inconsistency and poor quality of the particular output. That is why some people also add CTQ, critical to quality, at each step they will give, because this will also help you when they are getting the next step of measure, and they will be in a position to identify the critical parameters in the appropriate steps. That's why this is very key area. Next, to go to the measure, that is the second step, and the objective of this step is to understand and evaluate the process as well as product parameters, and also this product parameter they will also measure in terms of the sigma levels, because as all of you are aware, when we getting into any case studies with respect to the Six Sigma, that means we are looking at the variability part of it and how well we are going to reduce the variability. That is why what the teams they do, they measure when they take up the project, what is the variability and then what the sigma level in terms, so that after they solve the problem, again they measure it and how sigma level has improved, and they will be in a position to find out. That is why they measure this, and then after that they also calculate depending upon the project and process capability. That is CP CPK. I hope you all know the how to calculate the CP and how to calculate the CPK. And then when this particular project is a lot of emphasis there on the measurement side, any measurements, the product parameters or various characteristics when they are going to measure, and there are measurement errors, because of that wrong conclusion they may draw, and then to avoid that they need to improve the measurement system analysis. So they may also carry out, but not necessarily in all the projects where it is highly oriented to the testing side. So they look into that MSA. And then ultimately what is more important in the measure is whether they have identified very critical process conditions. Similarly, whatever the output they are getting, for that output, what are the critical quality parameters. So this they must list it out so that they are going to work further. That is the analyze stage and then improve stage with respect to these parameters. That's why they must find out at the end of the measure set point, that is this process X and then product, that is Y parameters. So like that, when they define, when you say now you are ready with the project charter. Similarly, when it comes to the measure step is over, you should be ready with the process critical conditions, similarly product critical parameters, so that on which they are going to work in the subsequent steps. Next, analyze.
Sir, before that, we have mentioned about the project charter, that sigma label to be mentioned, and here also we have to mention the sigma label. So what data to be mentioned in project charter and what data we have to mention over here? Can you just clarify?
But actually, I will explain a little further. Now, there are two things, the quality parameters when you are looking into it. One is about the variable data. That means maybe, the product you are measuring in terms of strength, maybe some dimensions, maybe, and then elongation. So, like that, there will be key parameters, which is of variable type of data. So, what they are doing is, when the variable type of data is there, and that the data they collect, they calculate the average, they calculate the standard deviation, and they calculate the Z value. Z value in the sense what they do, whatever the average they get, and minus whatever the standard is there, the standard they put, what they are supposed to achieve, divided by the standard deviation. So they get the Z value. From the Z value, they can find out the error, let us say it is only the fraction. Then proportion that they convert into ppm levels. From the ppm levels, they can, there are standard tables are available, and they will look from the standard table and they convert into sigma level. This is the process when they are looking into the variable type of quality parameters. Now, when they get into the defects or the defectives, let us say, so that already they got like this much percentage or this much ppm, they will estimate it from the data whatever they collect. And from that directly they can look into it and they will get the sigma level. So once the sigma level get the same thing only, they will just put it in the project charter. Because that is a summarized one. Here is a very detailed one they will work out and measure. But the process, the project charter when they give, it is only one figure they will give, and will go from that level to whatever they want to achieve, they will mention it. So this is actually worked here, but they put it in the project charter. So that is the only difference.
And this MSA, you have mentioned, if required, MSA, then can you just clarify?
What is that?
MSA, you have mentioned MSA bracket if required.
Measurement system analysis. See, measurement system analysis is, as I told you, now, so there are some projects, the measurement, what are the quality parameters they are going to work on improvements. Now, there can be certain errors because of wrong measurement. It may be analyst is not having the required caliber, required skill, or there may be instrument which is whatever they are using it, that also may be defective. And so what they need to do is, before you are giving the results regarding the particular quality parameters, product quality parameters, you must ensure the whatever the measurement we are doing it or whatever the analysis you are doing it, that is error free. So that's why what they have to do, they have to calculate measurement system analysis. That means what they do, they collect some samples, product samples, and they select about three, let us say 3 or 2, depending upon how big the laboratory is, and then they take more samples, like let us say the same 10 samples they will take, and then carry out those studies. I'm not explaining very detailed way, but what is required is, let us say the project is with respect to quality improvement of the product, let us say, because more defects are there, more rejections are there, so the productivity is very less because of some parameter which is being measured. Then only they go for the MSA to make sure whatever the results the laboratory is passing on to the production, those results are accurate enough. So whatever the decisions the production people are taking based on these results, there is no error. So that confidence level is required. That's why these MSA studies are required, but it is not for all the projects you need to look for. Project you have to look for whether that study is there or not. Okay.
Okay. Now coming to next step.
Analyze. So, no, analyze before, correct. So, as I told you, this measure step, where they are able to identify all the critical process conditions as well as product conditions. Both when they identify your product parameters, and based on that, taking those inputs, and they will go for identification of the probable causes. So that's why the objective of this step is to understand source of variation, because the source they are able to get from the cycle diagram as well as from the process, that is X matrix, what we call it, and process variables as well as product variables, which are all critical things only they will identify, not necessarily they will identify a whole lot of things. So they identify the causes and then they determine those causes and effect relationship, like C diagram we can say. And then these causes they validate it with the help of the data, and then they also go to the Gemba and identify whether these causes are taking place or not. Please remember one thing, when we say it is validation, that means we need to look at two things. One is whether this cause really, even though you identified in your brainstorming session identification of these causes, whether really these causes are occurring or not. Whether they are occurring only once a while, you need to look at. That's why, here also we can think of Parrot analysis also we can carry out depending upon all the causes what they identify and the frequency of occurrence. That is one part of it. Second thing is, if it is occurrence once a while, but is it affecting the problem what we have taken or what the team has taken? So is there any relationship? That also you need to look at it. So when there is no relationship, then they will say this cause is not valid, because even though we identified during the brainstorming stage, now we have filtered it. So that is how they identify which are the critical causes because of which you are having that particular problem. So before you getting into the root causes, so that's why this validation of the causes is very, very essential. Then after that, once they get the root causes during using the YY analysis, and root cause also you need to look at substantiate with the data. That means you must collect the relevant data for each root cause, and then whether it is resulting into the problem what they have taken up. So that type of validation is required. So lot of data. So what are the tools they can use? That's what I would like to tell you. One is a control chart is quite a useful tool at this stage. Why it is? Because suppose the problem is with respect to the product quality parameters, and they are also variable type of data. Now you can think of X bar R chart or XMR chart. Similarly, if they have the defects, they want to reduce it. Then the defectives means they can go for P chart and PN chart. If they are controlling the defects, then they can go for C chart and U chart. So based on the problem you already identified and what type of control chart they are supposed to use it. Why they have to use it? Because when they use it, what will happen is whether the process is stable or not, or whether any assignable causes are there. So these assignable causes will come into the cause analysis. So that way there is a connectivity in that. And similarly, when they are going for the process capability, suppose they want to analyze, then unless the control chart shows you the process is stable, and in spite of the stability, they are not able to meet the requirement of the customers. So this type of analysis, they will be in a position to do that, and then they will also calculate the process capability. So that's why these control charts is one thing which they can think of using it, depending, of course, depending upon the project. Second thing is test of hypothesis. What happens is when these people collect the data and they know what is the requirement, and these performance, whatever they have, is it a large gap, what they have achieved and what they have been achieving at present. So that they can use using the test of hypothesis. What they do, suppose the variability is the part of the study, let us say. So you have some standard goal, let us say, what you want to achieve, the variability is concerned. That is in terms of standard deviation. What is the actual standard deviation today? They are getting it. So this difference you want to find out whether it is significant or not. So what you do, you go for the F test, then you take the current standard deviation, that is the variance you can, that square it, you will get the variance. So variance, current variance divided by the variance what you want to get, what you want to achieve. So that difference, is it significant? So that is one such analysis you can do. The other one is the averages. Suppose particular average or particular minimum or maximum you want to get as a part of the solving the problem, and the goal you keep it. Now you have calculated from the data what the average value. So you can find out, and then standard deviation you calculate, and then single sample test you can do that using the t-test, Or suppose you want to compare two different machines or two different areas or two different products like that. And you can also go for the double sampling and using the t-test. So what is the single sampling means? You are having the standard and you have the actual value. So the actual value of testing with respect to the standard, what you want to achieve. The double sampling means a two sample surveys, two sample test, and we say that means you have a two sample, that means two processes or two machines. So each machine is behaving differently. Are they behaving differently? Are they performing same? You want to check. So then you go for the two sample test. So this is where the test of hypothesis is also useful at the analyze stage. So that you know it is easy for you to arrive the solutions next stage. That's why this is required. The other one is regression analysis. Regression analysis, what the teams will be doing. Now you already identified the critical process conditions. You have also identified critical product parameters. So it is really relationship. That is what they would like to do using the scatter diagram. Then they can get into the regression equation, and they will also before this they will calculate the correlation coefficient. And correlation coefficient, suppose it's very close to either like -1 or +1, that means there is a relationship negative or positive. That type of analysis, they will be in a position to do that. That's why particularly between the process conditions and then product quality parameters. Why this test is required is, or why this analysis is required, because when the next step when they are going for the solutions, this will give enough inputs, what parameters, what process conditions they need to deal, and then they need to bring changes in those process conditions so that that will yield the result what they would like to have. That means what they want to solve, what product quality they want to improve, they will be in a position to improve by attacking or by bringing the changes in the process conditions. That is why this type of analysis is required. So all these things again depending on whatever project they have taken. And then next one is analysis of variance. The analysis of variance, again, what is happening is when they want to identify or whatever the process conditions they have identified, let us say at the measure stage, and then you are going to carry out an analyze stage, its impact on the, let us say, on the product quality or on the problem. So that is why all these four tests, basically what I have given here, control charts, as well as test of hypothesis, regression analysis, and also the variance, that will give enough, let us say, the ideas to identify the critical process parameters which you need to improve. That means which you need to bring improvements or the changes you want to make with respect to those conditions. Sometimes even the raw material also, or the, if it is a formulation, a combination of various raw materials, that also may come part of the process. That's why these analysis statistical tools are very, very essential, so that you will be in a position to identify critical process conditions on which you have to act. That means you have to make changes so that you will be in a position to solve the problem. They provide you enough, let us say, room for you to identify the critical process conditions. So next one is improve. Now, improve, as all of you are aware, the objective of this step is to generate a creative idea of solutions, actually countermeasures, to eradicate those root causes, whatever they've identified in the previous step, actually. So here, what they do is, once they identify those critical based on the previous step, and they try to find out the countermeasures, and to justify those countermeasures, whether they will yield the results what they would like to have, they may carry out some trials. When they are going to carry out the trials, they must look into the PDC also. What trial they want to do, what changes they want to make, and how much, let us say, quantity they would like to produce, and what are the conditions they want to keep the same, and who will actually run this trial. So all these basic details, so that whatever the trial you conduct, you don't go wrong. So you must make all that document and then inform the concerned people, and then the concerned, let us say, the team members, they must present, and then not to depend on others, and then carry out these trials and then document the results. And suppose the results are not fruitful, that means they have not yielded you the result what you expected, then naturally you need to look for the causes, and then you have to again look for some other causes, and with that again you need to carry out this. So that's why this trials also part of these improvements. And then, and also once again, whatever you have done at the previous step, here also you would like to do it, so that which parameter has yielded you better result. So that way, this is going to help you. And then scatter diagram also, again, the relationship you are going to, actual relationship you are able to find out. Because, then your confidence level will go up as for the change what you have made in the particular process condition, and that definitely yields the result what you wanted. So your confidence level will go up. So the scatter diagram, and then subsequent you can also do the regression analysis, because you will be collecting the enough data during the trials. So you can go for the regression equation. The design estimates actually whatever the changes you want to make, and then plan the entire experiment you carry out is a part of the trials actually. And then when you are going for the solutions in the mistake proofing also, so that also if they have done it, and then please look at it whether really it is a mistake proof, and then this will not go back. And then whatever result they were able to achieve through this mistake proofing, and they will be in a position to sustain those improvements. So you please look at it, and then critically, and then you can evaluate and give whatever the marks eligible. Then the fifth step is about the control, and all of you are aware of it. This is mainly whatever improvement they were able to achieve in the previous step, they need to sustain in future actually. So that's why this step is very, very essential. So the objective of this step is to establish process control and then process product audits to sustain improved performance levels. So the first document what you need to look for is whatever the let us say the SOP, standard operating procedures they have, and all those things what they have kept as it is, what they have revised it, what they have produced new. That means these standards were not available because of the improvements you have brought, and they have made some new standards. So this under these three classifications you need to look for all the standards. One thing like QCPs it may be there, and then work instructions and procedures, drawings. So all that they will be making a big list of that. And then the control chart also depending upon the problem what they have taken and what are the results they have improved it, and if it's relevant particularly with respect to sustaining the product quality, whatever enhancement they have done in the product quality, both in terms of the defects and also the variable type of data parameters. So appropriate control chart they must use it, because that will help them as a part of the process control to sustain the results. And if suddenly any deviation is there, any assignable cause is there, immediately they will be in a position to attack on that. That's why this is also very essential tool under process control. Then they must also have the audit system, process audit, all those key parameters they have identified, and product quality parameters also. It's always advisable, and they have these process and product audit sheets they can design, so that whatever the periods they decide, and maybe the quality assurance people they carry out this, so that with this they will be in a position to sustain that improvised performance. And then all these data whatever they collect, definitely we must put the performance in terms of the graphs, and so that we can continuously follow, and they are part of the suspense of those improved performance. So that's why this is also very essential step. And then this can be taken as a part of the daily management, and so that it becomes integrated, and then day to day whoever is responsible for running that or operating the particular process, and they will be following all these instructions. The another thing is you can also look at FMA, if it is relevant there, and whether they have done any FMA, so that they will be in a position to prevent the occurrence of such type of deviations or failures. So this is how they must do this. Now we will go to the scoring pattern. That particular slide we will see before it is there. Before we have given that criteria slide before. This one. So now you look at the define, as I have already explained in greater detail, and at define stage maximum marks 20, and where the voice of the customer business case, as I explained, maximum marks 5. And project charter, I told you already, it will have a problem statement, it will have a financial results, what loss and what they can gain once they solve it, and it will have a performance in terms of the sigma levels, and then scope of this project, and any constraints are there, and then T schedules. All these details will be available in the project charter. That's why we have given 10 marks there. And SIPOC, the table, once they make it, they will have 5 marks. So the total is 20 marks. Then come to the measure stage. We have given performance measures, that how they are, what parameter they have measured it in terms of the sigma levels, and then key process parameters and process conditions, and then similarly product condition, product parameters. So there we have given 4 each, and then for performance measure is 7. So this is the 15 marks for measure stage. Then coming to the analysis space, 25 marks, because this is the real heart of the problem solving. So how well they were able to identify all the causes, and then building up the cosmic diagram, and then validation of those causes, and then go for the root causes and the validation of those root causes. So there we have given causal diagram and identification of the causes, the 10 marks, and other things 5 each we have given. So the total 25 marks. Then improvement stage, as I told you, how well they were able to bring out the creative solutions. So that is on 15 marks. And based on that particular project, if they have done any design of experiments or test of hypotheses or control charts like that, and they will have about 10 marks there. So total 25 marks. Then control stage to sustain the results, and then any new standard they have developed it, and any updation of the existing standards. Please look at it in what proportion. Based on that, you can give 5 marks maximum. And ultimately, results, having done all that, ultimately, we need to look at also what the benefit. As I explained, ultimately, this result is concerned, how well it is connected with the business, and how well the bottom line is going to get improved. So please look at that. So because the Six Sigma projects actually, unless the breakthrough improvements they are able to bring, there is no really justification for taking the project under Six Sigma. That is why results also play a very major role. So please look at it while giving the 10 marks. Whether really it is a breakthrough improvement, or it is a small improvement like a QCC project or a LQC project like that. Please look at it. So because they just mentioned at a defined stage, just don't go for the DMAT stage, and look at it really is a complex problem is there, and also once they solve it, there's a significant improvement in the bottom line. So business also will get improved. So please look at it, and based on that, you award the scores.
So here, results and benefits you have put under control.
And the same thing only.
Huh?
Same thing only, but there will be the problem when they are given, they say, suppose the problem is productivity, let us say, low productivity they got. So they have improved the productivity. So once they improve the productivity, then the difference in the production and then reduction in the rejections, so they convert them into financial terms. And the financial terms, that is that one part of it. The benefit side, they can also see what type of process improvements they brought and what type of new standards they have developed it. So what type of knowledge they have provided to the employees who are in the shop floor. So these are all the benefits which they are going to get, and ultimately customer satisfaction levels. So all these things will come. So while they are going from the step by step, they need to watch for all this, what are the benefits they are getting it, and summarize it, whether they have done in the case study at the end. Like, what we say tangible benefits, and then intangible benefits. So all that they can look at it. So under that.
It's not that in case of improvement, we can show the results and benefits. In case of control, we can see the completion. That what we have achieved and now what we are getting.
See,
Because normally in case of improvement we are showing, normally we used to say what is the result and benefits, and in case of control we are showing whatever we have achieved, where we are maintaining it.
Improvement stage, what happens is, initially the period for which they carry out this will be shorter period.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they will check. That is what, these are the improvements we have made in the process, and these are the results we got it, outcome.
Yeah, right.
And then that outcome they will check with the original before they are taking up the project. That is before this project was taken up, and this difference they will check using the test of hypothesis. Whether significantly they were able to make achieved it, one thing. Second thing is whether is it matching with the goal what they have kept it in the beginning of under project charter. So both they will check. One is this improvement is significantly improved with respect to the before they have taken up this project, what was the status in the performance. Second one is this is matching with the goal what they have set in the project chapter. So both they will be checking it out. So that is one thing. When it comes to the control stage, naturally hereafter you are going to follow this, whatever improvised cross improvements they have made. So that means the data will be for longer period, if you will have it. So this way, these results when they give it here, and then naturally you are going to look for some more period, and then it will give you the confidence whatever result they have given, and hereafter they will be in a position to maintain those results, maintain those improvised performance because of the way you have developed the standards. That will give you enough confidence. You will be in a position to maintain that. That's one part of it. That's why we have given, instead of giving the improvement stage, we have given at the end, control stage.
Okay, so what we can say that in case of Six Sigma, there may be three different labels, maybe green belt, yellow belt, and black belt. Whatever he has mentioned, if this is from the grassroots people or from the middle management, they may not be using design of experiment, other things, but they are using the basic methodology. Is it so, sir?
See, what happens as far as the green belt people are concerned, suppose they are qualified as a green belt. Generally, the members will be the green belt people. And the leader, most of the cases, he is the black belt person. Okay. So that means his knowledge and his experience already in tackling the problems under Six Sigma is much better compared to the members. That's one part of the as far as organization is concerned. Okay. So they suppose it is their first project, and to have an experience in using the or following the DMAT process, and they may take a simple project.
Okay. So they have to see that how old the team is there, right? And they have to apply. And suppose any chapter they are not having the people capable to evaluate the Six Sigma project, they can directly send to us, right, sir? So we can do the justice. Otherwise, unnecessary we are not doing justice to them. So if you are having a black belt, master black belt person as a judge, they know, then it's very good. If not, then it's very difficult to teach the judges for all this. So for other concept like management or management team, TPM, other thing, they can follow the simple system, whatever we have mentioned. But in case of Six Sigma exclusively,
What
if
is
you are not having the judge, you can send this to us. So we can send it to Sanjeev Raji, and Sanjeev Raji can forward it to the appropriate person. Sunil Srivastava is there. There are so many that can be forwarded to them for the evaluation, so that justice to be there. Right, sir?
what I suggest when they are identifying the judges, and they can think of also some judges who have a very strong background of the statistics, and maybe some of them may be already qualified as a black belt or master black belt. People are available. So you can also take such type of people so that if you get any project on Six Sigma, you can alert to the
Anyhow, suppose this time they are not able to identify at that present, so such cases they can send to us, right? So that will be better. Okay, sir. So we can say thanks to everyone and those who are attending this program, and I'm sure that this is going to help to them. So thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.